What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash, here to recap Week 8 of the NFL season. It was an absolute insane week. We thought we had some easy locks picked out. Isn't that right, Theo? And witching hour proved to have many of us wrong. But I don't think all of us are complaining. But before we get into it, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Sunday night?
I'm doing pretty well. It was a insane week of finishes. The witching hour for the first window, I just could not keep track of any of it. It was every single game went down to the wire. Just Hail Marys today, obviously, game-winning field goals, near fumble sixes, just crazy from beginning to end. So this was a good week.
Oh yeah, Matt, how you doing?
Fine. I'm obviously not on my usual setup, so if it sounds bad, I apologize. I did everything in my power to try to fix it or record at a different time, but we're coming to you here, so if it's too bad, it's on me.
They're forcing you to upgrade your Wi-Fi by...
I guess so, but don't worry. I guess they told me beforehand, even though they didn't, so it's going to be a quiet episode for me, I'm afraid.
That's okay. Everyone in the comments put, "We forgive you, Matt," if you're watching on YouTube, or send us.
I guess we won't get our Bo Nix versus Bryce Young report. From what it sounds like, it was quite the one-sided affair in Bo Nix's favor, but unfortunately, I did not watch a second.
Well, I checked early on in this game, and I was like, oh, it's 7-0. Bryce Young has 5 for 5, a touchdown. I was like, hold on, are we going to get Bryce Young masterclass? And we did not. So
that's unfortunate.
It was unfortunate.
Do you want to start with the, as we get into these games here, do you want to start with the Thursday night game? Vikings, Rams?
We probably should just kind of work through from start of the week into the Sunday night game as we get there. Theo, this was a game that you had locked. The Vikings Rams knocked you right out. Your 4 lock parlay early. This Rams offense looks really good. And so I guess my first question to you would be, do you think it was more the Rams offense is good, like really, really good with Stafford and Puka and Kupp, or do you think the Vikings defense is more fraudulent than we may have originally thought?
I think that one of my bigger takeaways was the concern with the Vikings defense post-September. They have been really out of whack the last 2 weeks, blitzing at a normal rate versus the Lions last week. This week, they completely shut it down. They blitz like 35% of the time. That is a season low for Flores. And I think that they kind of let Detroit scare them a little bit. I think blitzing needs to be who they are. I don't think they have the bodies to get home with 4 without it. And I just think that Flores' game plans the last 2 weeks have been out of whack. You look at the numbers, the Lions are the best against the blitz, right? They just absorb all the bodies with their great offensive line and David Montgomery being a pass protector. And then Amon-Ra runs an in-cut and you're just cooked. That's the story of the Lions for the last... The Rams can do that, but they just don't have the line that the Lions do. So they have been a little bit more leaky versus the blitz. If you get 5 and create some sort of one-on-one, like I like your chances a lot better against the Rams, and the numbers flesh that out. So I think that there is some real concern with the Vikings. Like they need to blitz to rush the passer. But at the same time, I think like Flores has not been on his game as much the last 2 weeks. And then they just like the Rams executed better than like Rodgers did and even Jordan Love did with some like misses and some mistakes. So just taking advantage of some opportunities that were always there, I guess, on Shaq Griffin or Stephen Gilmore, right? Like you can beat these guys. And I remember watching the Jets. It was one-on-one It was Garrett Wilson with inside leverage initially, but trying to like kind of work through Gilmore and shove him off of him, and he gets open to the sideline, and like they missed that route in the Jets game, and then in the Rams game they do it with Puka. It's like a beautiful route and toe tap catch on the sideline. It's like, teams have been trying to do that to the Vikings at points this year. The Packers tried, and like with Dontavion Wicks hitting an outbreaker kind of late in the game, and it was overruled as incomplete. Like some of these opportunities you have on these corners, you have to convert. And I think user error from some offenses didn't exist in this game. And the Vikings defense there's a few too many bad players in the corner room and the defensive tackle room.
Yeah, I know we chalked up a lot of the Vikings' success early on this year to Flores because we were very critical of their roster, and it does seem to show some areas of weakness, here against the Rams. I think it's also worth noting that another thing that has had a lot of success for this Vikings team is the explosives on offense, and with the loss of Christian Darrisaw, the Rams did a great job of getting pressure and kind of eliminating those big plays late in the game. And that is going to continue to be a problem because he is out for the year.
Yeah, it was for sure a problem that Darrisaw is out for the year. That guy is a absolute brick wall. I love watching him play. How low, like the bend in his knees with how broad his shoulders are, just make him look crazy out there. He looks like the big guy from this is like a diss after he got hurt, but he looks like the big dude from Total Drama Island, like with the really broad shoulders and the tiny legs. I feel like
that's a compliment.
He's got that's the way he played. That's what it must feel like when you look at trying to get by him, is like this big square in your way and just stonewalling everybody. You saw the stunt pickup he had last game that kind of went viral of like him just jamming the crashing guy on a stunt into the line of scrimmage and then like flipping back around and taking the looper one-on-one. Just crazy season that he was having, like such good technique, such power in his hands, like just such a brick wall, and to have him down, it's a huge blow.
Yeah. Matt, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this?
Do you think the Vikings are frauds?
No, I don't think they're frauds. I think that they have problems and they got exposed a little bit in this game, but that happens to everybody. I mean, who wouldn't be fraudulent right now if that was a standard we were working off of? They definitely do have some personnel problems. Like, their corners aren't that great. And I think teams are going to be able to attack that. They weren't going to finish undefeated or anything, but they're still a good team. Like, I'm not totally out on them or anything.
How do you think the Rams' ceiling is right now? Obviously, with Kupp and, Puka back, that's a part of it. It's like maybe the Rams are just
and we were
that
talking
good, and they're going to go on a run again.
The last episode about should they trade Cooper Kupp, and now they're coming off a big win. Maybe they should hang on to their pieces. Maybe they should be buyers.
I don't know if I think they're that good. They're still kind of old. They're probably competitive just off of having like Stafford and those wide receivers. Like if they ended up sneaking into the wild card as a 7th seed, it wouldn't shock me, I guess, because those guys really are that good. But I don't know. I'm not like super moved by their ceiling as a team where I think they should be spending picks to bring in guys unless I think they're going to keep them around like pretty long term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the Rams, I don't know. I think their offensive line really kills them. I just cannot imagine that unit not looking really rough come playoff time, I feel like. But they've got some rookies there. Bo Limmer, like number 6. I think they've got some injuries as well. I don't know. If their line gets right, I do like some of the things that they have. They are kind of replacing Donald in the aggregate as intended with the pass rush. I still think Verse is kind of a one-trick pony with just the bull rush, which is kind of what cooled me on him out of the draft. Is like, oh, he's not a top 15 guy, but his rate of success with it has been so high this season.
Good trick.
It is a good trick. And I like Byron Young a lot too. Like Verse gets a lot of the hype as a rookie of the year candidate. But Byron Young, I think, is such a useful piece for them, dropping into coverage, just being involved in those stunts, getting like slithering through places, avoiding chips. Like he's just a bit of a gremlin in there. I feel like he is him and Kobe Turner are my two favorite on that defensive line. But Fisk has been, better than I thought. He's been getting after it from a pass rushing perspective as well. Like both those Florida State guys. I don't think they're perfect still. I think some of their weaknesses from college are still there, where it's like, I think like if Darrisaw was in the game, he could have just sat on Verse's power move the whole time, right? I don't think Verse can maybe go up against those top tackles, but they're doing enough to scheme up some pressures and get guys free on stunts, and Kobe Turner in the middle especially is a beast. So it would have really helped them to have Aaron Donald obviously last night, or on Thursday, but they still are able to get after it, and they have some kind of young stars. So yeah, but the secondary, I thought they'd get bullied by Jefferson, and they did.
It's what you expect. I mean, he's Jefferson. He's going to do what he does.
Mm-hmm. And Kupp, like, who knows if he'll stay healthy through the playoffs, like you say, Matt.
Right. But I don't know. I feel like they've got decent pieces around at this point as far as young talent goes. Puka and the defensive line. And, like, they're building the foundation for
and they have
eventually
Sean McVay.
And they have McVay.
Yeah, Sean McVay. And then they have Matthew Stafford, and it's like, if they get into the NFC playoffs, it's like, is Jordan Love going to throw 3 picks? Is Purdy as strong a quarterback situation? Like, who is as strong of a quarterback situation in the NFC as Matthew Stafford? And you're sure? Like, the Cowboys right now? No. The Eagles right now? No. Like, the Packers right now? No. The Lions right now? No. I'd say, I don't know. Goff has gotten the completion percentage crazy.
Well, we could talk about the Lions, but the Rams almost beat the Rams were like this close to beating the Lions.
True.
Week 1. So
I think it'd be a game still. I think I'm
Rams Lions NFC Championship game.
I'm a little bit scared of the Rams, but LaFleur is 4-0 against him, so how scared could I possibly be? We own them.
Hey, he's undefeated until he's not.
That's true. That's true.
But we can move on to the Sunday games a little bit. Where should we start, man? Should we get
Texans,
the elephant?
Colts.
Texans Colts.
Richardson.
What do you think, Matt? What's your temperature check on the Colts rebuild right now?
Richardson's accuracy is like atrociously bad, dude. How much better it will get over time, I honestly don't really know. But it's starting from like absolute rock bottom, and like the big, cool, major plays that he makes do not make up for it right now. No. It's not enough, even, unfortunately. And that on top of like the weirdo quote that he had where like, I was just tired. That's not great. As somebody who likes Richardson, that's not amazing. So, I'm saying it's not looking amazing, but he's also had very few starts. He's hardly played, which is going to be tough to overcome now that you're at the NFL level and it's year 2 and people want to be good right now.
But here's the thing. Even like at the start of this year, he was still the youngest starting quarterback in the NFL, which is crazy to think about how young he still is. Because
few starts he's gotten.
Right. So I feel like he still has time. And I feel like there isn't a lot of pressure being put on him from like the media as much as there was on Tua or Fields. Like it's gonna start to build, but I do think he still has time to kind of pull things together And I think they're going to kind of give him the Allen treatment a little bit, where it's like, okay, we get it. You haven't played a lot of ball, and the big highlight plays are there, and we can see the flashes of what can be. And the big thing, the team isn't horrible. If they were a bottom feeder, I think there would be a lot more pressure to be like, no, you got to bench him for Flacco or whatever
like
else.
One win, right?
Yeah, but they're 4-4 right now. They're very much within the race, not only for the playoffs, but for this division. Like, they lost today, and that honestly probably solidifies the Texans as going to be the ones to win it. But like, before this game, they were the 7 or the 6 seed in the AFC playoffs. Like, they're still a perfectly fine team. They run the ball really well. And if they were awful, there would be a lot more pressure. I think for now he's gonna be fine, but there are warning signs.
I think there would be more pressure. I think there is more pressure because they're like not that bad. If they were terrible, it'd be like whatever, just throw out the quarterback. I mean, I've been listening to Panthers fans say that about Bryce Young for the last couple of weeks. It's like if nothing matters, put out the young guy. I think with Richardson being on a team that's at least decent, the Colts don't have crazy high expectations. It's not like the end of the world. Yeah. But, I mean, people were calling for Flacco this year. Like, that isn't something that didn't happen. It did happen. Like they called for Flacco already.
But it would be different if Richardson was 0-5 as a starter instead of 3-2 or 3-3 now. Like, things would definitely be different. Like, he has won some. I guess the Pittsburgh game shouldn't count, right, for him. That's more. So he's more like 2-3, but still, like. Yeah,
but he just hasn't looked that good, unfortunately. And the big stuff he hits is awesome, and like he's probably the single most physically gifted. Well, he definitely is the most physically gifted quarterback in the NFL. Like, he is.
I'd say Allen.
But dude,
but him and Allen.
It's close. I'd say it's Richardson. Allen gets a boost because he's like actually sick. So
fair.
Allen gets a boost because he's good.
But like Richardson just like firing check down like 5 feet above his receiver's head, and it's like, I'm not a completion percentage demon, but dude, if we're getting if it's starting with a 3, I'm getting nervous. So I understand, like, if you can't do the simple stuff, it's just brutally frustrating to watch. Like, the big stuff is cool, but
I feel like to some extent defenses are really not letting them do the easy stuff too much. Like, I feel like it's really good to blitz the Colts and play physical with these receivers. And I think that the way to beat that is to, like, they kind of should be going down the field, and they're kind of forcing them to go down the field. And I think the combination of Richardson's accuracy and also, I will say, the wide receiving core, like, being bad this year is just making it like Richardson when they're not blitzing is bad. And that's a big concern. But I don't know. My diagnosis of like why, like, you say Richardson isn't hitting the easy stuff, and that's bad. And obviously it is bad, but his average depth of target in the first half in this game was 20 yards down the field, So it's like how much easy stuff, everything looks so hard. And part of that is on him for not taking easier plays like checkdowns. And like, he threw a go route today when the crosser was open behind it. Like, get through your reads. He's definitely not showing a lot of positives in terms of reading the field super well, and obviously the accuracy is not there. So it's not good, certainly. But I will also say, like, man, drops, wide receivers slipping on this team is crazy. Like, the amount of times I see them on the ground, like, tracking the ball, I feel like Adonai Mitchell kind of has struggled with. And I know this is not his fault mode, but I am saying, like, it is his fault. But also, like, why do you think that these throws are like 20 yards down the field all the time? And it's like, why? You can't deny that there weren't drops today, and like an Alec Pierce push off on a touchdown, and Mitchell dropping that touchdown early, and Pierce dropping a play on the sideline at the end when they were trying to drive. And like they were on the first and goal on the 5, and it ends up like first and goal on the 25. I'm not saying it's not his fault with Richardson, but the whole operation of this team I feel like is ugly, and they were also horrible against the blitz with Flacco, and they really are just teams are just teeing off on them. They're just blitzing them, and there's no answers from anybody. And yeah, so it's not good, obviously, like from top to bottom, the timing, the accuracy, like Richardson just not looking super comfortable. The receiving core not looking good. The offensive line got their shit kicked in today. Like Will Anderson looked like Reggie White. Like the whole offensive operation is in shambles. So it goes a lot deeper, I feel like, than just Richardson. And I feel like benching him for Flacco at this point, because I know it's a conversation, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, I think you still got to, like Steichen said in the press conference, grind it out. I think you got it. Like, it's his 9th start. Like, we can talk about Josh Allen, and I know he's had an off season, but it's like, what if you gave up on Josh Allen after his 9th start and he went to another team? I hear so much about on every broadcast with the Vikings is like, how much do the Jets regret letting Sam Darnold go? And Sam Darnold isn't great, but you know, he was the youngest starter in the league at one point. And I know it's bad to be in Darnold conversations, but I'm just saying, you got to keep.
I mean, there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of players where he could. There's a spectrum of players where he could fall under. It could be Allen. It could be Darnold.
Worse, Trevor Lawrence, like apparently it is right now.
It could be Lance, man.
I'm just fooling. It's just you can't tell me it doesn't sound a little. Look, it's just we're going for the hard stuff a lot, and then the receivers aren't catching it.
Like, what do you have to say to that? Like their average throw was like a bomb downfield. There isn't like defenses are forcing, I think, difficult throws because they're pressing up, they're playing cover one, they're blitzing. It's like, how do you want to beat that? You want to throw downfield. Like, they're not dropping into quarters all the time. They're taking away the rushing lanes by sending extra bodies. They're getting physical with the receivers, and I just don't think the receiving core is blameless here either because they're just getting bullied, I think. But Richardson, not good either.
No, I do completely agree with you. Like benching Richardson. See, I'm already getting them mixed up. Would be
that's how take for Lawrence. Like, please be mistaken for Lawrence.
Yeah, but Richardson falling into the Lawrence Herbert camp of guys who I know are good, but will pretend aren't. Sorry, dude. He's part of that cinematic.
I mean, he's way worse than all of them.
Benching him would be ridiculous.
Now, yes.
Benching him would be ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Starting Joe Flacco to do what? That's not the future of this team, and it's too early. And you've seen too much life, and you know he has the tools. You just need to work on some stuff. Now, it's bad. Like, it's not good that he doesn't look good. I'll always say that. Right. And I do question, I can agree with you. Like, all right, yeah, defenses are forcing tougher stuff, but when you're completing, 10 of 32 passes, it's like, well, that's more than the defense.
Yeah. Versus the blitz. Here's the difference between him and Flacco. Both of them are overall bad versus the blitz this year, but Flacco is like good outside the numbers. Anthony Richardson outside the numbers this year is horrifically bad. He is not hitting anything out there. So that to me is a huge problem. And like the name flashes through my mind, like Daniel Jones, right? Where it's like the accuracy just never was there for him, and he can run, right? He's athletic, but his internal clock, always ran a bit slow, and the accuracy was never quite there, and just never quite figured it out, right? And he's an athletic guy, and it's like I think that Richardson can turn out a lot better than Daniel Jones still, but that's like the really scary name.
Richardson has better pocket presence than Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
And
he's more athletic. He made some crazy plays today, making people miss. Like, they didn't go anywhere. But like one time he had a guy like wrapped around him and he like shrugged him off. It was crazy. But
it is interesting because we think about, you mentioned like how horrible he has been outside of the numbers. We talk about like the difference in the college hash and how it makes those throws to the field so much harder because of how wide the college hashes are. But have we ever thought about how easy it makes the the throws to the narrow side of the field? And when the hashes get tighter at the NFL level, those throws become a little bit harder. I don't know. Food for thought.
Hold on, I'm about to get the Anthony Richardson outside the hashes numbers. So I'm saying like if they're blitzing or playing single high or taking the run away, and the move is, oh, let's attack the corners on the outside.
Yeah.
Like that is what Richardson is missing right now, and why blitzing is such a good answer. But he is 38 for 86 outside the numbers, 4 interceptions. Yeah,
do you know where that ranks among?
Oh, let's see. I know as a team, the Colts are dead last in completion percentage outside the number. They're at 50.8%. The Patriots are second to last at 60.4. And that 50.8 has Flacco's goodness getting into it. So I think with Richardson, it's more like completing 44% of his passes outside the numbers. So that is really, and again, that's not just a Richardson stat. It's Michael Pittman getting blanketed downfield stat. It's someone tripping or dropping balls, but it's also a Richardson stat. So that's what needs to get better. If they're going to be beating the blitz with big plays downfield and that's their answer, they actually have to hit one every once in a while. And that's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. Wow. That's a jarring stat. Mm-hmm. But, hey, shout out the Texans, 6-2.
Brother. This is ugly for the Texans too. We talk about all this shit about how it's doom and gloom with Richardson. They almost won this game.
I know, man. No, I was so prepared to be
like, Mitchell doesn't drop in the end zone.
Bad.
Richardson's leading the division right now.
5-3.
Not his fault. But
not his fault.
I mean, it's the same story every week for the Texans. They just cannot protect anything, like any game or stunt or blitz. They just let them through. Like they're a total sieve. Slowick just isn't helping him out right now. He's losing crazy amounts of like. Somehow, even with all the sacks and all the pressure, it's still way better for them to throw the ball on first and second down than running, because Stroud is that good. And still, they like today just showed. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling because I'm just trying to even think of what to say. But today, they showed they don't have any killer instinct to be like an FS1 host or something. They had a chance. Like, how are you going to let Richardson hang around like this? They're punt at the 2 and they get the 2-minute warning and they get the ball back. Like, the Colts were dicking around this entire game, and the Texans couldn't like sink their teeth in and take the division because they're like fucking around with everything regarding an offensive infrastructure. Like, it's so bad. It's so everything about the line. Like they can't talk to each other is the first thing. It's like it's not anything. Not that it's not anything athletically, because these guys aren't very physical either. But it shouldn't take that much to be like, oh, there's a stunt. Go try and block him. Right? That's something you just yell to the guy standing next to you, and it's like, are they just dead silent blocking everything? Like, are they just hoping? Are they waiting for Stroud to tell them what to do? Like, they don't know when the snap count is. It's just the same story every week. And Stroud, at one point in this game, Nate Tite tweeted it, I think at halftime or in the second or third quarter, and it was like, Stroud has a 72% pressure rate. 72? 3 out of every 4 dropbacks, he's getting his shit kicked in by the Colts pass rush. They have not been like that so far this year. And they got not Stewart, he's been there. They got Buckner back for sure, and he's a game-changing player. But man, holy cow, Texans, like, CJ Stroud, how can you be so good on 3rd and 10 and just not good at controlling a game or putting anything away, or, actually, like, one metric suggests you're the most explosive passing offense in the league, and then you're just fucking around on every other drive, on every other down. Like, what are the chances of that?
It's rough. This is not a Super Bowl contender, like, at all.
Not at the moment. I mean, maybe Nico could come back, and like those two are just good enough where they could just play like buddy ball. I don't know. Travis Kelce Chiefs mode, like, except more explosive, where we were just like, well, there are a ton of problems with the Texans, but Stroud and Nico Collins just killed it, and their defense killed it. Like, maybe they could go on like a Chiefs-esque
I feel like the Chiefs defense
buddy ball
better,
postseason run.
Maybe.
Odds on.
I'm sorry. I the thing is that I feel like the offensive line could improve as the year goes on. I know that's like not a take that I'm confident in or think something that I think is going to happen, but you don't want to rule out the chance of like a 6-2 team, like maybe growing as the year goes on, and then, you know, having a couple of big games and then getting, you know, arguably the best, you know, not the arguably the best, but arguably, you know, top 3, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, a guy who was on pace to crush offensive player of the year and make it like not interesting.
Yeah.
Granted, like only through like the first 4 games. So yeah, like I'm not out on them. Plus Stroud goated.
And their defense is like legitimately very good. I feel like I think Stingley is having the kind of season that I thought he would have. Like, he has not been disappointing at all. Will Anderson has been like, look out, man. He has been so good over the last month. His havoc rate is first among all defensive linemen with over 100 snaps, and havoc rate, as silly as it sounds, it's PBUs, forced fumbles, sacks, interceptions, just TFLs. So on almost 7% of the opposing teams, like, those aren't easy things to get. Like, that's not pressure. That's not, you almost got there. That's not hypothetical stuff, you know? So he's doing something tangible more than anybody else. And just watching him set the edge in this game, or like run a stunt and open something up for somebody else, collapse the pocket in on Richardson, like over a guard, to make room for Petrie, who's also playing at a really good level right now, a total bounce back after last year. Like, yeah, I think that, and they're doing it with backup linebackers too recently. There is a chance that their defense is just really a problem come January. So I'm not like fully out on the Texans, but they're definitely not tier 1 AFC contenders right now with their line. It's just too bad.
But then again, the way some teams played today.
The Ravens, what happened? I don't know. I know nothing.
No, I want to get this one part out of the way and done.
Okay.
Do it.
Tucker.
What the fuck? He's washed, Matt. What curse did you put on him?
I don't know. It is
Your
crazy.
voodoo doll.
Tucker voodoo doll is ripped to shreds right now, man. Let me tell you.
It worked.
It worked. Honestly, like, genuinely and honestly, I do not mean this as a troll. The Ravens' record would definitely be better if they did not have Tucker, if they had a better kicker.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not kidding at all.
If they had like Aubrey,
They have 3. Yeah, if they had Aubrey, which I know is like the extreme, they very well could be undefeated. Not an exaggeration at all. Tucker missed like multiple field goals in 3-point games, and then this game wasn't a 3-point game, but it could have been, and they were in field goal range, and they didn't have a shot at it. And like, these aren't look, a lot of it is like me trolling when like a 62-yarder gets blocked, and I'm like, damn, Tucker, what are you doing, buddy? But seriously, like, it's starting to be a little bit of a problem for him. And it seems like the range is really what gets him. Like, all of a sudden, it's not that like he's missing 35-yarders and it's over, but it's become a little bit tougher. Like, once you get out past 50, like his hit rate is like among the worst in the NFL in the last couple of years. Since he hit that 66-yarder, since he hit the record game winner, ridiculous one, like, he's hit 1 or 2 of 10 attempts.
It's been all downhill.
Hold on. Where do they rank in field position after kickoffs? I need something to defend my goat here.
Oh,
middle of the pack. Dude. No. Average drive after a kickoff starting at the 29-yard line, 29.7. Oh, it's over.
Oh, it's
not
over.
Good. But I don't really
Wait a
want to
minute.
rag. Like, I don't really feel that great about Tucker being bad. Like, I don't actually dislike him.
I mean,
Even if
you're right that their record would be better. I mean, he missed a field goal. I can't remember if it was blocked or whatever versus the Raiders in a game they lost by 3. Obviously, Kansas City was a close game. He could have motivated, likely to keep his toe in bounds too, if he was really a real leader. And today he missed one. But
He did.
what the fuck had like? How did the Browns win? Like,
Well,
it shouldn't come down to a Justin
we'll
Tucker.
start.
missed
We'll
field
start
goal.
with this, dude. Shocker. Deshaun Watson was holding back this Browns offense to an insane degree. I mean, look, Jameis didn't play perfect, but to actually be able to hit receivers with timing, like, oh, look at that, a receiver's coming wide open across the middle, maybe hit him. Instead of like holding the ball and taking a sack. Night and day difference. Now, I thought the Ravens could have really pulled away in this game at moments. There were multiple dropped interceptions.
so
I saw the Kyle Hamilton
The
one. I
last
saw
one was
that one.
really bad. There was one early on in the game where Winston, I thought, had Elijah Moore wide open in the end zone and held it and then threw it directly to just a DB standing in the end zone, and he dropped it. And the Browns came away with points on that drive. So like, and then the Hamilton near interception, ended up the very next play being the game-winning touchdown. So there were kind of a few luck instances that went the Browns' way. But I think just in general, the Browns offense just looks so much better with Winston at the helm. The Ravens offense, for the most part, I thought did its job. Lamar played pretty well. There were some bad drops by the Ravens receivers. Bateman had one where it literally just hit his face mask or his chest because the sun was in his eyes. And like, I know people are going to be like, well, the sun was in his eyes, but I'm like, you catch it. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, you're getting paid millions of dollars
outside.
That's what I'm saying, dude. The game is played outside. Like, you got to catch it. That was a wide open pass. Great throw by Lamar across his body, rolling right. But I thought it was just kind of a lot of the Ravens defense seems to be their problem right now. And at some point, maybe it's now, there needs to be a conversation about what the heck is going on with the Ravens defense, because they can't convert on like need to have interceptions. Their pass rush is much worse than it was last year.
Yes.
It just feels like they are consistently getting beat in basically every facet, except like they've been okay against the run, I guess.
Yes.
But a lot of that could just kind of come down to like, as long as you cover every gap, you'll be okay. You know? But their pass coverage has just been like, Marlon Humphrey has taken a serious step back.
He's been pretty good this year. I mean, he saved the game for them in the last against the Buccaneers.
That's fair, but he wasn't great last
today?
year. A lot of guys got torched today.
Yeah,
A lot of guys got torched today. Judy had a great game. Tillman had a great game. Like it just felt like every time that Winston dropped back, someone got open. And so it comes down to like their secondary has to get better, which I feel like they have the talent, but they're just letting guys run open. It feels like it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for this game, but against the Buccaneers, the lack of pass rush was appalling. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best examples is the pick that Baker threw, the first one in the corner of the end zone, where he threw that pick after holding it for a good 10 seconds, and play after play after play after play, it was like that. Just when they rush for and the lineup is like Urban, Pierce, like not sometimes there's a lot of plays where they don't have Matabike in there, and then like the edge is like Owe and Van Noy, like that lineup.
Jones wasn't on the field a lot, which was weird.
I feel like they have like a supercharged unit, and then they have their not supercharged unit. I feel like Jones and Matabike are on the field at the same time a lot, although I guess I don't have those numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And then they'll like sub in the Urban Pierce unit and keep them in for too long. Because when those guys are in, there's just not a lot happening for the pass rush if Kyle Hamilton is in coverage or Roquan Smith is in coverage, which they should be, because that's where they're the most valuable probably, and you'd like to get pressure just rushing 4.
It is where they're most valuable. But the one, so they got 2 sacks this game. The first came off of beautifully drawn up Kyle Hamilton blitz.
Yep, there you are. Yeah,
I mean, that, right? So, I mean, he was disguised inside, and then he came all the way around to Juan Jones and just free rushed at Winston, cleaned his clock, strip sack. Like, beautiful blitz. The other was right before halftime, and it was just like they were just trying to get something up, and Winston just held the ball too long. But like, other than that, Winston was basically untouched.
It seems like they were play action maxing, looking at the box score here. They had 5 explosives off play action. They called 13 play action passes. So, I mean, that's something they've kind of tried to get going with Watson, and then he just misses the crossing route or the post or whatever route they want to have him run. Like the amount of negative plays that they takes a sack and holds it forever. Like just letting the ball go accurately on the play action passes shouldn't be that hard in a Stefanski offense. Like every other quarterback has been able to do it, but Watson, which is
this is interesting. Interesting you bring up a Stefanski offense. Stefanski wasn't calling the plays.
That's right.
So there's this theory that Stefanski had to give up play calling as a means to say that, well, it wasn't Watson that was the problem. It could have been anything, you know?
Oh my God. Remember when I said Ohio people are just, why are you coming up with these theories?
You can't handle Ohio theories.
Ohio football fans are a different animal, man.
It's weird. I will say, as much success as the Ravens offense did have today, Lamar had almost 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry broke off a couple big runs and was 6.6 on the ground total. But the Browns made some pretty big stops when they needed to. Like they had a big 4th and 1 where they stood up Derrick Henry. Like direct snap to Derrick Henry, just power, like QB power, wildcat. And they stood him up there. And there were just a lot of plays where it felt like, I mean, you know how the Browns defense plays, especially when JOK is on the field, which I hope to God he's okay. But they just fly to the football, you know? And if they're wrong and it's like a misdirection, then it's a touchdown. But like if they're right, it's like a 5-yard loss. That's kind of, it was a lot of that today. It felt like, but it just felt like they were really firing on those. But yeah, JOK got hurt on the field. To me, it looked like he broke his collarbone. Found out later it's a neck injury.
Oh, that's not better.
Yeah, not good. But I haven't seen any updates on it, so I have no idea if he's okay.
Sounds like he's not. But yeah, that's not good at all.
No, it's not good. So that's really bad.
He got carted off with it. Oh, he got carted off with his face mask off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not collarbone.
Well,
they've got
because it looked like the way that he fell, I was like, oh yeah, he broke his collarbone. But then they carted him off and like,
oh, this is like an obituary. The
dude, stop! Don't. Don't do this to me.
What do you mean? He got carted off with his face mask on. That's not good.
I know it's not good, man. You're
underselling it there.
Let me be optimistic a little bit.
I thought it was a collarbone, but it ended up being a neck. They're guarding.
I am. I am questioning how you thought it was a collarbone injury when they took his tooth. That's like
No. I'm saying
That
when
is-
he first
that is
hit,
such a
when he
cult,
first hit
Blaiden.
the ground, based on the way that he fell, I thought it was a collarbone. I thought that he
I know,
broke his
but just
collarbone.
relaying the information that JOK got hurt to me, who hadn't seen the injury. Like,
Okay.
oh, I thought it was collarbone, but it ended up being neck, and then like not elaborating. Like, you like he left in an ambulance and is still in the
Yeah.
hospital.
It was
I guess
bad.
maybe.
It's too bad. Though.
It's no laughing matter though, because that's horrible.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's the only good linebacker that we have, man. If he's
Maybe it is
gone,
just a collarbone.
maybe. No, I mean, it's going to be we're going to be in a lot of dime the rest of the year, I imagine. Grant Delpit in the box, and we're going to have two.
You got to be in a lot of goal line. Just get the pass rush out there and have.
We let a field goal block. I just don't know if I like most of our guys. Screw it.
Just anyone else to fill gaps.
Dime, you think?
That would be my guess. I saw. I guess I wasn't paying attention to if Thornhill and McLeod and like Bell and everyone were kind of like on the field at the same time. But
Let's see. McLeod, Emerson, Newsome. If they were in dime, it would be Delpit. It would be Ward, Delpit, Thornhill, Emerson Jr., Greg Newsome, and Rodney McLeod all out there at the same time, right? Yeah. Okay.
that would be, and it's either that or you do like, I guess you take like Thornhill or McLeod off the field, and then it's like, dude, I mean, I don't even know who like.
I mean, it's
Winston
your choice is
Reed
doing that or put
Devin Bush.
I mean, Hicks and Bush are probably solid enough. Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't see that. Oh, next to his name. Yeah, you gotta hope JOK is okay. If Bush
you have literally
Winston Reed.
It's looking real bleak at linebacker right now.
Yeah.
It's looking real bleak. I see. I would be fine running nickel all the time if it was Hicks. I'm like, yeah, I'll live with that. But like, yeah, we need JOK.
You got to embrace the penny fronts. I don't know how your linebacker is going to do as the only guy back there, but you get the bear with the one linebacker and then nickel behind it. That's what you're going to need.
Yeah, and we do have we do have Michael Hall back. So
yeah, after like he almost killed his girlfriend.
Also not funny, man.
No, not funny. It's insane that he's back this soon.
Yeah, it is insane.
Whatever.
Wouldn't be the first time.
But
Wouldn't be the first time a
crazy.
Browns player didn't get suspended for an ample amount of time.
Yeah, that's true. That I can't talk because McManus is on my team, kicking game-winning field goals 2 weeks in a row. It shouldn't even be allowed back in the league. How can you put him on a plane?
Right. No, but I guess my main takeaway from the Browns game today is just how much it breaks my heart that we wasted 7 weeks of the year on the worst quarterback in the NFL, just for the sake of like, well, we have to start him. It's like, dude,
they just needed to coach better, bro. And it just today they coached better. They coached better.
It was today. I saw someone tweet out, they're like, man, Stefanski should be fired. It's like we wasted all this time on him calling the plays. It should have been Ken Dorsey the whole time. No, it's just horrible that we've spent all this time with Watson when it's like so clear how much better the offense is now with Winston. I have seen some people say, well, it's only 1 week, but like I saw one drive of Winston last week against the Bengals, and it was clear then.
That's all you needed.
It was clear then that he was going to be so much better. And they play the Chargers next week. I imagine it'll be fine then. The question is, can they run the table and make the playoffs? Chargers, Saints, Steelers, Broncos, Steelers, Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, Ravens. Looks like it's happening.
I guess so. Well, let's not bury the lead any more than we have. I think we got to talk about Bears versus Commanders, the number one overall pick versus the number 2 overall pick.
Where were you when the Hail Mary ensued?
I was sitting on my couch and I just had to laugh. It felt so justified for them to end up winning that game, because my number one thing was just how are they even in this position? Like, the Bears have just been able to do nothing all day.
I know.
Jayden Daniels looks so much better than Caleb. And then at the end of the day, like, Caleb's about to get the W. Like, this just doesn't seem right.
That fourth quarter from Caleb Williams, man, he was nails. He was hitting sidearm throws, his pocket presence. Like, he just, like, I don't know what happened. Like, his temperature just dropped 4 degrees. He was cool as a cucumber, hitting hole shots in the bucket. I don't know what changed.
I guess he had to. Otherwise, he's getting benched forever. I don't know. But it just felt like just a big sigh of relief that an NFC North foe wasn't going to stumble ass backwards into a unearned win, it felt like. So shout out Jayden Daniels, shout out Tyreek Stevenson for like turning around. Did you see this video?
That he was taunting
did.
the fans. Oh my God.
What are your thoughts on such behavior, Matt?
Okay. I will say this about the Tyreek Stevenson stuff. It's funny, and I do kind of enjoy when that stuff happens, just because, like, it is just cool. However, clearly had no effect on the play. Clearly didn't matter at all.
He was supposed to
over there with plenty of time.
Okay, but he was supposed to be 85's guy, I feel like. Like, not only did he showboat the entire play. Okay, I mean, that's not locked in, obviously. And you turn your back and you get to the clump of people, right? But your guy has leaked out the back door, so he just wasn't paying attention throughout. I mean, if he's showboating and then goes and does his job next, then maybe it's like, okay, never ever, like, it's a bad look for us, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think he was showboating and like missed his assignment, and that's why they lost.
Yeah, I mean, someone wasn't deeper than the deepest, right? So.
Whoopsie. Yeah. Maybe it was on him then. You're right. It cost him the game.
It did.
I just figured he got back over there. I'm like, well, he was going to be able to be like do whatever he wanted to do. But if he got over there, but then like wasn't really locked in on his assignment because he was, too busy talking trash.
Yes, I think that's the whole situation, is like, instead of it just being like, oh yeah, he was talking trash before the play, is like he was talking trash during the play. And I believe like he was 85's guy. I really think that.
Well, was it like man, or was it like 3 deep?
You watch the dots and it's not really anything. Like, they're all getting into a clump in the middle. And then eventually Noah Brown breaks out and then comes back inside. And just as that happens, Stevenson accelerates out towards the sideline instead of following Noah Brown inside, and then flies to like just into the middle of the clump, trying to high point the ball. And then it tips up into the air right when you should be trying to smack it down. Like,
right.
It's not first guy to touch it wins. Like, let it come down. Don't like bat it up into the air. And then it almost seemed like he tried to use or lurk it. Like, he stepped kind of outside of the clump when everybody was like starting to condense. He like drifted outside the main group and then like ran and jumped as high as he could to high point it. And it's like, I just don't think that's how you're supposed to play a Hail Mary.
No, it's not. I mean, the Commanders played it perfectly. You have a group of guys there to tip it, and you have one guy back in the end zone, and then Jayden Daniels launched that shit damn near 70 yards. I mean, that's exactly what you want there. I don't. Commanders did a great job. Yeah, but the Bears, you got to have you can't have your entire secondary in one spot and expect to come away with that. No.
Yeah,
I agree.
Bad. But outside of that play,
it was an ugly game that was not fun to watch when the Bears were on offense. Oh my God. I mean, Caleb scrambling to throw, myth busted, I'm afraid. I know that was the big, I think, positive coming out of USC, and such a reason that I liked him over Jayden Daniels was it felt important that, like, Caleb had so much experience escaping the pocket and, like, making a big play downfield with his arm, and, like, Daniels would scramble and then he would just run the entire length of the field, right? He had those, 70 plus yarders where maybe people expected him to slide and then he didn't. He just kept on going and just outlasted everybody. It's like, I don't know. I feel like the throwing is a little bit more transferable to the league. And then this game plays out and, like, Jayden's super cool, keeping his eyes downfield, like not scrambling too much, being effective when he does, and just being way more accurate with the football. Like, even on the first drive when they were in the red zone and he got pressured by Montez Sweat, like, he kind of threw it falling down. And it's like, McCaffrey got a toe down. He had a chance in the back corner of the end zone. It just feels like with Caleb, there were so many throws downfield where, like, maybe he was under pressure, or maybe it's some screen passes that he threw that are like 10 yards over his guys' heads. Like, the natural accuracy discrepancy between the two of them and just the coolness in the pocket, I feel like, between the two of them was completely different, which just shocks me considering what I thought I knew about them coming out of school.
Yeah, but if you had only watched the fourth quarter, you would have said, damn, Caleb Williams is like the greatest football player ever, which is also interesting development.
But sadly, I did tune it on for the whole game. I mean, weird things happen for a quarter. If I watched only Anthony Richardson's first quarter, I'd say he had what accuracy problems. His wide receiver needs to catch the ball. Like,
real.
It's all drops and then the rest of the game.
Watched Anthony Richardson's like first drive of his first game, you would think he's the greatest. You would think that he is the greatest athlete who has ever lived.
If I watched the first quarter of the Bengals-Eagles game, I would think, man, this team can just sustain the long drives, the West Coast runs or plate passes. There's no way anybody can stop these outbreakers, and there's no way that any of these players will turn the ball over. But then the rest of the game plays out. So I don't know. I'm pretty concerned about the Bears offense, but I'll shut up.
I was going to say Eagles look good today, though. That's the one I was really tapped into.
They do.
I was tapped into that as well, but
I want to say one more thing about the Bears. Like, one phrase. Shane Waldron can count his days.
Yes, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. That
decision to the backup center fullback dive on the 1 yard line, too cute.
Why?
What are you doing, man? No, because I'm over here thinking, like, dude, Caleb Williams has put together like a pretty great drive, gotten you all the way down the field. So I say you have two options. You either bring in Roshan Johnson, which he was on the field, and punch it in with him, or you let Caleb continue to have the ball in his hands. And they do neither of those things. And then they get into another late situation, and it's third down, and they ended up picking up the fourth down, but it's third down, and they just, like, run the ball. Like, third and long, and they just run the ball instead of putting the ball in Caleb. Like, what are we talking about, man? Like, the play calling decisions are just so bizarre.
They are extremely egregious. And then they get down to the red zone on the next drive. Somehow they still have a chance to win the game. And even then, the play calling was extremely crazy. They get down to the red zone. They run the ball with Caleb Williams on 3rd and 5.
Yes.
All right. They call a play that really, I don't know what advantage running has here. They have a bare front on. So there's no real open gaps. It's single high. And Roshan Johnson doesn't insert into the blocking scheme at all. He like goes out like he might catch a toss or a screen with Keenan out in front of him. Like you simply do not have the numbers here on 3rd down and 5. You're running it into like just a bad box with Caleb Williams. And then on 4th and 3, I guess mesh is kind of a fine play call. It's whatever.
Yeah.
They take the throw outside the numbers and deep. Fine. It draws a PI. We're all good there. So I guess I can't critique it. But then they call the like goal line fade. Ugh. The classic bad play call on the goal line. Like you can just look at the completion percentage numbers on those plays. Like it's 20%.
No,
like
no one hits them. No one hits them.
On the one, except for Keon Coleman, I guess, and Calvin Johnson back in the day. Like I remember him being an outlier.
That's it though.
But eventually he did run it up the middle. But still, like too many just troll play calls in the 4th quarter and just over the course of the game.
It's just pitiful, man.
The screen they threw to DJ Moore with no blockers early. Bro, like, and I get it. DJ Moore should I get trusting DJ Moore to break a tackle, but damn, man, like you couldn't throw a blocker out. Like look at the Washington Commanders. They love throwing screens. They don't throw screens with no blockers out there. They like get everybody out running and whatever.
Yeah, no, that was the last thing I wanted. I was just like, dude, Shane Waldron has got to go.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I thought it would be a good offense with Waldron. Like I was excited last year that he had the widest formations like in the league and his pass rate was pretty high. And I was like, oh man, they're going to play kind of this spread offense with Caleb and just kind of air it out. And they're going to have all these weapons that are so good. And I thought it'd all be okay. And then the line just was horrible. Same thing that happened in Seattle. Like the line just falls apart. But you know, Caleb hasn't been Geno Smith. He's been operating the quick game really well these last 3 weeks. He's been playing in rhythm really well, but man, like down the field, those magic throws after creating, it's been bad, and his accuracy has been bad when he's been under pressure from better defenses. So,
but even Geno didn't have like a great year last year. So maybe once they get a new offensive coordinator, everything will kind of come together.
I still have faith in Caleb. I think Rome needs to become the guy in this offense. Like they pan to him and he's running like the most beautiful route for a big guy. Like he ran some beautiful, beautiful routes today. And I feel like there are some times when I watch him and think like this guy is really going to be unguardable. Like he's so open. They need to look to him first more. Mm-hmm. And we'll see the all 22 today and see what was really going on downfield, because it's hard to tell just outside of the highlights that you see from Rome. But yeah, I think that he is going to be a big key to bringing out the best in Caleb Williams, and they need to hit their stride at kind of the same time. Another big rookie, Johnny Newton, had some plays today.
Hey.
And they were doubling him over Payne. Not his fault. Look at this. He's getting extra attention, guys. I know his stats haven't been spectacular.
It'll show up on that graph they always make about double team rate. We're cool.
Let's go.
Yeah, he's been playing for sadly longer than I thought this year. Like he's had more. I thought maybe he was making his debut last week or something. I was like, is he back? And I was like, he's been playing more this season. I should have realized. But with the injury he's been to Jonathan Allen, he's been playing more, and today he actually looked pretty good. So
he did.
Sweet.
Yeah, there was the sack he had early in the game. That I still need to go back and rewatch that.
He read a screen really well. Like
that's what it looked like. It was like, but he looked like surprised that he was unblocked, and he was like, "Wait, should I be playing a screen?" And then he was like, "Screw it, I'm just gonna sack Caleb Williams."
Mm-hmm. He got a QB hit on that PI at the end, that 4th and 3 PI. He almost ended the game there if the wide receiver could get guarded instead of
was it Newton that got the hit on the the one hole shot Caleb hit like in the bucket to DJ Moore on the left side?
No, or was it? Let's see if I can find it.
That throw was absolutely money.
That was before they fumbled on the one, isn't it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, here
right,
it is.
It was like right before they fumbled on the one.
No, that was Big Bobby Wagner because DeAndre Swift decided that he should run a route instead of taking the blitzer.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because Swift made a business decision and almost cost Caleb Williams his life.
That or Tevin Jenkins just slid the wrong way, which I could also see because they only bring 4, so you really shouldn't need the 6th running back. So maybe he thought he wasn't needed there, and Tevin Jenkins slid the other way. I could also see that being the case because Swift actually...
Sliding for who? Who was he picking up?
He was picking up Newton on the double team, his gravity. They were doubling. They did double Newton, and they let Bobby Wagner completely
Oh my gosh.
free. So that just goes to show
funny.
you.
What a
Johnny Newton is the Steph Curry of defensive tackles. A little underside, foot injuries early in his career.
But he's a hooper. So he just gets it done.
Yeah, I like seeing his performance today.
There we go. But we can move on to Eagles. There we go. Eagles, Bengals.
This wasn't one of the more interesting games, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. I do want to say that Jalen Hurts did a great job, accessing the whole field today, which was nice to see. He did have one very questionable check down that easily could have been a Logan Wilson pick 6, but outside of that, he was really good. And the Eagles' run game looked strong. I know this Bengals defense is like pretty toothless. Mm-hmm. I know they're like kind of lacking a lot of the playmakers that they've had in the past, but I mean, at a point, dude, the Eagles are 5-2, right? Like they're stacking up wins. And I think they've got enough strengths where, I don't know, I'm pretty happy with how they're playing right now. I felt like if Hurts, the big thing is like, can Hurts and the offense like get healthy and get the receivers back and then just like balance out and get a lot of these mistakes out of the way? Because the games that they've lost have just been like bizarro stinkers. And I'm not saying that your takeaway should be that, well, those games don't count like they do. But that's something that's more recoverable from, that's something that isn't necessarily going to be the case night in and night out for them. So I don't know. I'm still in their corner a little bit. I don't know how far they go, but also I don't know how good the NFC is right now. I'm kind of confused by the landscape. So I think they're absolutely a player right now.
Totally. I 100% agree. I made a video a few weeks ago on TikTok, and I was talking about some of the issues with the Eagles because after the Browns game, people were really killing them. And I made a video about like some of the things I thought were wrong. And really the biggest thing I could come up with was some of the run game stuff. Like even though they added Saquon, they weren't quite getting the Lamar and Henry effect. Mm-hmm. Like maybe they should be, like their running game wasn't quite as efficient as maybe you'd thought. And I thought the loss of Kelsey was really like messing with them there. But my angle should have been, and I'm kicking myself now, is like these issues are a little bit smaller than you think. Like they're certainly not what they were in 2022. I think from a play sequencing perspective, from an offensive line perspective, but AJ Brown is the best in the business still. Like their offensive line is still good, and they've been super good against the blitz this year. And that's what I wish I highlighted more, because you thought the biggest issue coming into this year was their biggest issue to close last year, which was like Bowles killed them. Wing Martindale killed them. Mm-hmm. Late in the year, they just could not get anything protected at all. This year, they're completely fine against the blitz. Like maybe they've lost a little bit of something so far in the pass game because of injuries. They haven't done a great job getting Devontae Smith involved this year. But the fact that they've been so good against the blitz, the fact that their run game is starting to round into form here these last couple weeks, the fact that they're getting their people healthy, and then the fact that their defense is looking good. Like I thought that was another big story from their win today against the Bengals was the second half. The Bengals really didn't have much. They really didn't get much yak today. 3.6 yards per reception after the catch lowest in the league, tied with the Browns today, who were taking a bunch of deep shots off play action, it sounds like. Yeah. So, and they don't have anybody like Jamar Chase, right? So the fact that these guys were coming downhill and they were hitting, Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, have looked pretty good, honestly. I got to work on my corner evaluations there. I think they've added a lot. 4th and 1, they swing it out to Chase. Cooper DeJean, annihilates it in the flat, good shit. Just in general, physicality down the field as well was a big key these last few weeks. I feel like against Neighbors, Mitchell did a good job just pressing him. There was kind of a viral clip where he two-handed jammed him into the ground, and he was just sticky, Neighbors trying to push him. You know how it is, wide receiver push off. Sometimes the corner goes flying. Sometimes he sticks right with him. I thought they did a good job sticking through push offs and things like that. So even though they're a zone coverage primarily team, a 2-high defense, you still got to be super tough in the secondary. Otherwise you're going to miss tackles. Otherwise, you got to be good when you come downhill when you play that way. And the Eagles are that right now. And I thought taking away the yak, hitting people, bringing them down, driving on throws underneath, everything that the Bengals had today was outbreakers, with no yak potential. And they converted some third downs like that, but over the course of the game, to get no yak and to get no yak from the running backs either, yards after contact, all the running backs went down as soon as they were touched as well, even if they were on a corner. So I thought that was huge for the Eagles today, and a big reason to feel good about them. Offense has some really high explosive players, and then this defense looks a lot better than last year. And if they had to play in the playoffs again, the tackling would not look the same as it did against the Bucs. Not at all. It looks way better.
Yeah, there's a more physical team that so far that I've seen. I think that was kind of their big killer last year, just general physicality. And part of it is Hurts is healthy, so he can really get physical on these inside runs. I'm seeing I wasn't too locked into this game. I'm seeing he had 3 touchdowns though.
Mm-hmm. They ran play action more too. That's something they've really struggled to get to this year. Is when they run, they run. When they pass, they pass. A big difference between 2022 and now has been a really big downtick in play action. Today they hit a bunch of big throws on play action, it felt like, which I like to see.
Nice.
I don't know what other games that you guys want to get into. I think it's pretty obvious we're not going to be able to get into every single great game that happened in just the 1 o'clock window in this episode. It's ridiculous. There's also a fair number I didn't catch. I don't know if you guys know what the hell happened to the Jets.
I don't know, man.
I didn't watch that at all.
I know. Dude, their defense, it was obvious from the first game after they fired Saleh. I mentioned the game plan. It just didn't seem as solid as the one Saleh has had.
Are they 0-3 since firing Saleh?
Yeah, man. And their defense is just way worse.
Dude.
I think the offense wasn't even that bad today, but, to give up that many points.
I mean, it's so crazy, since that game against the Patriots week, 3, where it was okay, you can see it come together. 0-5. Jeez. Not good.
Just crazy.
And they are 0-4 in 1-score games since then.
Just 0-5 since that Patriots game is so unreal to me. I just cannot get over it. I looked at the numbers, and my conclusion was this is the most encouraging quarterback performance in Jets since the turn of the century for the Jets. Yeah. Every other big game since they were, or maybe not since the turn of the century, over the last decade, it was the most promising game. They had some big performances before from Josh McCown or from Geno Smith in his last start as a Jet, week 18, or Mike White. For Rodgers to look like that and be their actual plan going forward, it just was unheard of since Sanchez was there. And for them to just go 0-4 after that, certifiably. And I know the Patriots defense isn't great, but they looked a lot better than this versus the Patriots, So I cannot believe it. I actually cannot believe how fast it collapsed.
Nope. And I don't know. It's tough to have a take on it because you don't know exactly what happened behind the scenes. but you can be suspicious. You can have an educated guess on the architect of some of the unseriousness. And I thought that even if that was the case, that like the Jets were going to rebound and they got Adams, and it's like, well, they've lost a bunch of games, but they're all like 1-score games. You see, they've been getting unlucky. They'll be better going forward. They lost to the Brissett Patriots, dude. I mean, that team is like...
Yeah, Drake May went down with a concussion.
He threw 6 passes. I can't believe it. So, I don't know what to say about them. The other game that I did kind of tap into, just to see what was going on, was Titans-Lions, which was...
That is the funniest passing stat line I've ever seen.
Dude, the special teams play, probably the worst I've ever seen in an NFL game.
Tennessee.
Yep. Khalif Raymond was a holding call away from setting the punt return yards in a single game record.
Oh, was he? I figured something weird like that had to happen, considering
God.
I was just looking at it on the ticker, and Goff had 28 yards, and the Lions had 42 points at the time, and I was like, that probably has never happened before, ever.
There was a big interception return, or maybe there was a couple of big interceptions that got them like real close. And Jahmyr Gibbs had like a 70-yard touchdown. But I'm watching this game, and I have Khalif Raymond on the 32-man league. And he returns one punt for like 80 yards and gets like tackled at the 15. I'm like, God damn it, dude. Like, because Raymond doesn't see the ball that much. Yeah. I'm like, that was our chance, bro. That's 0 points, even though it's a great play. And the next punt, he does end up returning for a touchdown, and we get our 6. So I thought it was just crazy that it played out like that. And he actually caught another one. He had a big-time game. Despite it being 50-14 in the third quarter, I want to make it clear, like, this team has, like, you could double their negative point differential, and it would be, like, right around where the Panthers are. That's how far behind Carolina is right now. That's how big the gap is, dude.
Good to know. Good to know.
But,
I didn't watch this. I didn't watch this game, but my thought on it is this. I said a few minutes ago that 28 passing yards and 42 points probably never happened before. And then I realized it probably happened all the time back in like the 1940s. And when I think about the Lions, I really do think they're the modern equivalent of Lombardi's Packers. Like, having watched the Super Bowls 1 and 2 this offseason, and watched the old head film, and watched how how the broadcasters talked about like Lombardi's team and like how they were built and like what they wanted to do. It is the Lions are the equivalent of that. They have these crazy halfbacks. They have like this reliable, weapon versus the blitz that just like runs digs and gets open, and like a quarterback who just kind of stands in there and hits them. Like, it is a little bit similar, just a way throwback team who's capable of not throwing it at all and still dominating a game, just because they have like, I don't know, when we look back at this, it'll be like, there's old Penei Sewell. He's steamrolls everybody in his path. No one can get by this line.
They've got like, the best offensive line.
That's really how it is.
And they've got 2 great running backs.
Yeah, no, they're just a total throwback team. And I think if they win the Super Bowl, like, and then they talk about Lombardi, like the master motivator, like the ultimate culture guy. I'm like, is Dane Campbell the modern day Lombardi, like just the best culture motivator dude in the business that they've got at the helm, running this crazy offensive line? They need a few more Hall of Famers on defense, though, to be Lombardi's Packers. Totally. The
just maybe
Lombardi era Packers had like more Hall of Famers than not on their defense. And we got maybe Branch and Lions fans, let us know who the other 5 Hall of Famers are. Man. Let us know who the other 5 Hall of Famers are.
He might have a gold jacket in his future.
Wingo.
But hey, all I'm saying, Wingo. All I'm saying is of like the Super Bowl contenders, only one team looked goated this week, and it was Detroit. Well, Kansas City. Kansas City looked pretty great against the Raiders, especially late in the game. But Detroit's the only one that really like really dug it in.
Yeah, they're putting up 50. I mean, no one else has really done that. But also, they played the Titans and the greatest special teams performance ever.
The Chiefs played the Raiders. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Harold Landry probably didn't pass his audition to be a Lion.
I actually think he had a couple of nice plays, if I remember.
Oh,
but I wasn't like locked in on this game. I'm not going to lie.
If you beat someone that bad, you should get to take.
Today. He could.
You should be able to take a couple of the best players as you go, like it's Madden Draft Champs.
Every time you beat a team, you get to take their best player.
Yep.
Or like their second best player. Oh my gosh. But yeah. I mean, I don't have too much more.
The Sunday night game?
As expected. I mean,
as expected.
I think there's a little bit of concern to be had with the 49ers. I don't think that can be ignored. But also the Cowboys just they do kind of stink, man.
They do.
Their run defense is just so bad. And any time that the 49ers were just like, oh, well, we're just going to hand it off to Garendo. It was like a 15-yard gain, like every single time. And then George Kittle went off for like a big game again against the Cowboys, just like he did last year. It's just like the Cowboys just don't have any answers, it feels like, on defense.
Their defense sucks. Their defense is like terrible.
Like, I'm trying to beat around the bush and be nice about it, but Matt, you're like, the defense is just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the state that it's in right now, it's just bad. There's no other way to like be like, well, like, no, it's awful. And you know, the 49ers have their injuries or whatever, but you know, they're almost anybody is going to tear up this Cowboys defense. Truly. Carson, I'll give Carson Breber credit for putting it well, but like the Cowboys and Dak lead the league in like these comebacks that aren't quite fake, but also definitely like aren't actually going to happen either.
It's not in the playoffs last year. Going back to that,
he finds like the middle ground between like it's not quite garbage time. It wouldn't be right to call it that, but like you're not winning this game for sure.
Yeah, they were.
I feel like it's because they're
10.
built to like pass against too high shells, and that's like their happy place. But like when the game is kind of, you need balance, and it's possible that you might hand the ball off. Like they're just so bad in those situations, and the picks, of course, like early have killed them. But it does feel like they're in their zone.
CeeDee Lamb, right. and then when teams get into a point where like, all right, well, we just don't want CeeDee Lamb to burn us for 80 yards on this play, then they can really cook. But I mean, like it's 17. I'm reading now, 17 targets for CeeDee Lamb, and then like everybody else, peanuts.
Who was number 2 in targets in this game? Was it?
It was Jake Ferguson, who had 23 yards on 8 targets. Like they just don't have crazy weapons, and Tolbert had like 40 yards or whatever, and they average like 3 yards a run. It's just like there's not much going on this offense, and we've talked about it endlessly. I don't want to beat Cowboys fans who listen to death with it.
They're like they. Dak did make a great throw to Kevontae Turpin late in the game, but it was like Kevontae Turpin, so it just bounced off his face mask. But I'm like, it's like they just don't have any options, man. It's a weak team.
They're playing without Micah Parsons, man. They have to blitz, and that was clear going into the game tonight. Like the Niners would get in gun and they'd just like mug it and send everybody and be like, we're stopping the run, we're putting pressure on Purdy. It's like, okay, your corners aren't too good right now, so it just gets cooked. And like the 49ers didn't take long for Shanahan to see that and be like, oh, I'll just maybe not be in shotgun or just get this protected somehow. And it just reeked of desperation from Zimmer from the very beginning, and it was like a short little wave, and then in the second half it just was a pretty easy adjustment for the 49ers. And
you just look at their starting defense, and it's just absolutely terrifying. I mean, it's just horrible.
Yeah, and they force it to CeeDee Lamb so much. I feel like
they don't have a choice, man. What
I know,
else do you
but
want to hand it off to Zeke?
Picks,
like,
there's so many picks that Dak throws this year where it's just like, what, like. Like forcing it in a way that is rare. Like I see quarterbacks force it to their top guys, every once in a while. But this season, it's like nothing even close to open, like true just double coverage. And he's
man.
like, throw it to They need to force feed, like trial by fire. Like have it look terrible for
dude. Like
they're wide receivers. And then maybe it looks okay after that. Just
wide
something
receivers
to get the heat off
CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, Kavonte Turpin, Jalen Brooks. Like this is like an ultimate team. Like someone traded you like a 99 overall, but like you have a bronze team otherwise. Like this is their receivers are just outside of CeeDee are just off. I mean, they've got nobody, man. I guess they got Ferguson, but
the interception that he threw trying to target CeeDee in this game was like disastrously bad. I mean, 3rd and 4, and he's like rolling out, and the flat defender's like just sees CeeDee, knows that's what Dak's going to do. 3 seconds after that defender makes a decision to drop and cover CeeDee, not 3 seconds, but like way after, throws it up there, and it's just easy pick. Well, it wasn't an easy pick. But it was easy to be in position to make a play on the ball, and it was nice to get your feet down, but like it was not good.
No.
But I don't know. I feel like Dak, honestly, my real opinion is that I think it speaks more to the limitations of the offense and trying to create something when nothing is there more than it speaks to like Dak being dumb.
Yeah, I think Dak isn't really the main problem for the Cowboys this year. Like the fact that they employed Dak Prescott is the good thing that they have going more than the bad thing. It's just so much is going on around him that it's hard for him to perform well. I just don't know how you carry this roster in its current state. The line, the wide receivers, he certainly could do a better job. This is not even close to his best season, but it's the way they treat CeeDee Lamb down the field just is hilarious. If he's ever single covered, you basically have to take the shot to him because it's one of the rare instances over the course of the game that he's one-on-one. And then everybody just knows where the ball is going. And like Brian Branch had a pick the other day when they played the Lions where it's like CeeDee was one-on-one pre-snap, but it's like Brian Branch knows where the ball is going. So it's like he's not even paying attention to his guy and can just go like over and help CeeDee because like Dak gets so excited at every opportunity because there's so much doubling happening. And yeah, it shouldn't be that easy to just take your top receiver away. And I shudder to think if they played a Belichick coordinated team, Mr. Brackett himself would just like, it's like his dream matchup is this Cowboys team. It's like, it's going to be so easy. Just bracket the one guy.
Yeah. It's sick stuff to watch. It's really sick. And it starts higher than Dak.
Yeah, Dak's not the problem.
It might start with the coach. Might start higher than that.
It might start with the owner. Sleepy.
You said it, not me, man.
Sleepy owner.
Sleepy Jerry Jones.
But that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Fire Jerry Jones. Well, everyone will start a GoFundMe. Stay hot. We'll buy the Dallas Cowboys and save this franchise from misery, starting with drafting a real wide receiver too. But until then, it's late. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Stay Hot. We'll either talk about some of the games that we missed, or maybe we'll do some mid-season awards, or maybe we'll do another tier list or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, as always, we will catch you on the flippity flop.